Ever felt like the world is just a little too tame? Craving adventure that'll slap you awake and leave you breathless? Then listen up, thrill seekers, because we're about to whisk you away to the Isle of Man, a land where myths and legends collide with heart-stopping action. This isn't your average tourist trap. This is a place steeped in history, brimming with local charm, and guaranteed to set your pulse racing. We're talking dramatic coastlines that'll leave you speechless, charming villages that seem frozen in time, and enough outdoor activities to keep you going for a lifetime. So, are you ready to ditch the ordinary and embrace the extraordinary? Join us as we uncover fascinating facts, history, and more of this European island. 1. The Isle of Man is a unique island located in the Irish Sea. It is not part of the United Kingdom or the European Union, but it is a self-governing British Crown dependency. The island has its own parliament, government, and legal system. 2. The island is smaller than Singapore and slightly larger than Guam and has a population of about 80,000 people. 3. Around 8,500 years ago, the Isle of Man became an island when rising sea levels caused by melting cut Mesolithic Britain off from continental Europe. A land bridge had existed between the Isle of Man and Cumbria before this date, and the island has been inhabited by humans since. The island became the home to Irish colonists. 4. The island's tradition of hosting the biggest motorcycle race in the world, called the Isle of Man TT, is regarded as one of the most dangerous races in the world. 5. Man has the oldest continuous parliament in the world, Tynwald. It's worth noting that several countries lay claim to this title, but the man's parliament has been standing without break ever since 979. 6. Tynwald has allowed the island to do things differently from its neighboring countries. For example, way back in 1881, it allowed women to vote in national elections when no other country had. 7. The Isle of Man has been home to a large population of wallabies since they were introduced in the 19th century. 8. People born in the Isle of Man are called Manx, and their language is also called Manx. 9. The Manx language, otherwise known as Manx Gaelic, is an ancient language that originates from the island's Celtic past. It closely resembles that of Irish and Scottish Gaelic, but with a hint of Old Norse from when the Vikings came here. 10. The Isle of Man has a rich history of smuggling that dates back centuries. The island's rugged coastline and hidden coves make it the perfect location for smugglers to land their illicit goods. 11. Manx cats have no tail. Ever seen a cat without a tail? That's probably a Manx cat. The breed also exhibits very large hind legs and a rounded head. 12. The island is well known for its traditional local dish of spuds and herring, or in Manx, prdas and herring. This dish consists of herring, potatoes, onion, and butter. 13. With its oceanic climate, the Isle of Man has rainfall during all months of the year. The average annual temperature for the island is 15 degrees Celsius, around 59 degrees Fahrenheit. The island is dry for 160 days a year, with an average humidity of 81%. 14. There is a unique road system with no national speed limit in the Isle of Man notwithstanding. There are recommended speed limits in regards to certain areas. 15. There's a breed of sheep from the island called the Manx Logten, which is known for sometimes having 4 or 6 horns. They're also incredibly rare. At one point, there were only 43 of these breed of sheep left in the world. 16. Existing alongside a plethora of natural habitats and picturesque lands, the island is the only entire jurisdiction in the world to be awarded status as a UNESCO biosphere. 17. Among the list of beautiful places to visit are the Sound and Calf of Man, Point d'Avery, Glen May, Snaefell, Tynwald Arboretum, Spanish Head, Garwick Beach, and Broda Head. 18. The Bee Gees are from the Isle of Man. Thought they were Australian. Did you? No. The Bee Gees are Manx through and through. Maurice, Robin, and Barry were all born on the Isle of Man. Their family later moved to Australia, but they were born in Man. 19. The Manx is the currency of the Isle of Man issued by the Manx government. The Manx currency is not a legal tender outside of the island. 20. There is a fault line splitting the UK and America. The Lepidus suture runs through the Irish Sea, but is visible at one of our favorite places on the Isle of Man, Nearbill. The Nearbill fault shows where two ancient continents collided, Avalonia and Laurentia. Avalonia is now England, while Laurentia has part of North America and, interestingly, Scotland. 21. One of the more fun features of the island is the unassuming ferry bridge. There are actually two. The real one is out in the woods somewhere. The one everyone visits, though, is on the main road, and you have to say hello to the fairies as you go past. If you don't, it'll bring you bad luck. 22. The island's conversion to Christianity has been attributed to Saint Maudwald, an Irish missionary. The island's name derives from Manannan, the Brythonic and Gaelic equivalent of Neptune. 23. In 2006, the island decided to give 16 and 17-year-olds their voting rights too, making it the first jurisdiction in the British Isles to extend these rights to this age group. 24. The Nearbill Bay is a secluded beauty spot just south of Dalby Village on the island's west coast and of great geological interest. At Nearbill Beach, you can stand with each foot on different rocks derived from two separate continents. 25. The International Isle of Man TT Tourist Trophy Race has been conducted on the island since 1907. In 1907, the Manx Parliament passed a law allowing the roads on Man to be closed and used for the race. However, it's just a normal street when not in use for the race. 26. The symbol on the Island of Man flag is the triskelion. The triskelion is actually an ancient Celtic symbol that relies on rotational symmetry and a triple spiral. 27. There is a hill on the Isle of Man where if you stop the car, it will start rolling back up the hill. Of course, it's an optical illusion, but a very strange one all the same. The hill is known as the Magnetic Hill. 28. Isle of Man is famous for its unique railway system, with several narrow-gauge railways that are popular with tourists. 29. The economy of the Island of Man is a low-tax economy. Financial services, manufacturing, and tourism are key sectors of the economy. The government offers low taxes and other incentives to high-technology companies and financial institutions to locate on the island. 30. The three legs, the ancient national symbol of the Isle of Man, and its motto, whichever way you throw it, it will stand, reflects the resilience of a resourceful people. 31. Anyone who consumes liquor in the Isle of Man after being warned by a police officer not to do so commits an offense, and its maximum penalty is £500. 32. There is a vampire grave in the Isle of Man's island. However, nobody knows the true history of this grave in Maloo and why it's been covered in chains and stakes since the 1850s. It is said that it belongs to Matthew Hussell and his wife Margaret, and the story goes that Matthew made an ungodly groan during his wake and had a stake through the heart to ensure that he didn't come alive again. 33. Set on the very southern tip of the island, the Sound Cafe is set in an ideal location to enjoy the stunning view out over the Sound and the Calf of Man, a tiny island acting as a nature reserve and bird observatory. 34. Manx culture is packed with fascinating practices which are embedded into daily lives. For example, if you're talking about a certain rodent on the Isle of Man, don't say rat. Instead, longtail is an acceptable alternative. This cultural quirk began centuries ago when sailors believed speaking a certain creature's name at sea was bad luck. Better safe than sorry. 35. If you're visiting in the spring, the Beer and Cider Festival is a great opportunity to sample real ale from around the world with over 150 featured beers and ciders. 36. The Isle of Man has its own national anthem, called O Land of Our Birth, which is sung in Manx. 37. Cromniarilla is a hill in the southwest on the Isle of Man. It may be confused with a hill of a similar name in the parish of Derby, further north along the west coast of the island. The Cromniarilla is a place with fantastic views and enjoyable walks, a place where time doesn't matter.